a good round of applause for that. So what we're going to do now before we close out, we're going to give our panelists each an opportunity to just give you all some feedback on what can be done when you leave this room to remain politically engaged. So we'll start with Chris down at the end, work our way down toward Mattia, and then we'll wrap up for the evening. What is it that the audience can do to be politically engaged when they leave tonight?
Great. So I have 4 points that I wrote down that folks should do. So I think everybody should attend the legislative session, whether that be at the federal, state, or local level. You need to know what's going on in those areas. So it doesn't matter whether it's a federal, local, or state issue. Whatever your interest is, you should just get engaged. Donate to a candidate. That's how you build a relationship. That's how you build a rapport. It doesn't matter what candidate it is. It doesn't matter what level they're on. But take your $25 check. It doesn't matter how small. Make sure you have it in your hand and shake. When you give it to them in your hand. Don't go online. I think the face-to-face interaction matters. Second, volunteer on the campaign. I think most people don't know how people get elected. It's much different than what you actually think once you actually experience it. Most people think it's like it is on TV, or they think it's scandal. It can be scandalous, but it's not. It's not like you see on TV. And then finally, what I would say is the fourth thing is organize around an issue. I think you should do this every year. So organize around an issue, whether it's labor, civic, environmental, or political. I think the skill set for these organizing issues is much different than the political, but that's also how you influence power and policy.
Our group talked a lot about educating community members. So the first thing I would say, I agree with everything you said. Make sure that you go to the legislature, go to a council meeting, go to school board meetings, but make sure you know who your representatives are and know where they stand. So if they vote a way that you don't like, call or email, go see them. They have to answer to you. One of our biggest votes, we had about 800 emails. We voted the way those emails told us to vote. So constituencies matter. Their emails matter. Your calls matter. So go to capital.tn.gov to visit and see the agenda and see the bills for the legislature. I think that's very important, knowing what's coming up. And then go on the school board. Of course, we'll talk about the school board. Go on our website. Look and see what's on our agenda. Sign up to speak. If there's something that's on your mind, if you don't like something that's happening in your child's school, in your community school, tell us what it is, and we'll try our best to do something about it.
Very good. I think you guys are hitting all the points, and it's not really much to say, But I totally agree with that, and I think in our group we discussed looking at the analysis. A lot of people don't know that we have an analysis that go with our bills. So in other words, you can click on it, and it explains what each bill does. And it's very common language. It's not anything that's specific, like jargony to the council, and I think that's very helpful. Also, you can look at Channel 3. I always share, like, a lot of times I'm out in public and people say, wow, I saw you on Channel 3 tonight. You really gave it to them. I say, bless your heart. Why are you looking at Channel 3? But Channel 3 is not true. But you might want to just tune in for a second or two just to see what's going on. Or you can also go onto the website as well. And I do think it's important to come up there and attend a meeting. We do appointments in the city. The mayor does appointments. She's always looking for people to be on different boards and committees. So that's important as well. We talked about kind of just plugging in. And I think Mattia shared it earlier. A lot of times when we have elections, you see the Democratic committee woman and the Democratic committee man seat vacant. I've seen like tons of them. That's an opportunity to become engaged in the Democratic Party. There's no reason that no one fills in their name. Sometimes I've seen people fill their names in and pass out cards at the particular precinct. So you want to take advantage of that as well, along with everything I think that Chris said, and just really understanding that to run an election, it does take money. And for a lot of black people, a lot of times when we're running on shoestring budgets. And even just being a legacy person, I remember the first time I ran, for some reason people, I guess they thought that I deserved it. They didn't give me any money. My money was so tight. It was prayers and knocking on doors and just, people in the community coming out to vote and just understanding having a strong ground game. I think that's what wins local politics. And I think we're really in a good place in Nashville because we're nonpartisan. We're nonpartisan. And also if you... Yeah, right now. I think we can stay that way at the local level. They're talking about a bill that they try to pass to make us more partisan where it really goes to the judicial candidates or whatever. But I think it's a good opportunity, too. If you see an opportunity, so we have term limits in Nashville. So if a candidate has served 2 terms in that particular seat, if you're interested, go in and asking them. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a wonderful time to enter politics. Because with politics, it runs on cycles. It's all about opportunity, money, openings. So if you really feel you want to do something, just jump on in. I taught. I didn't know anything about it at first, even though my mom was involved in it. It's just something I said, I think I want to do it. And I just kept on bigging myself up like, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And I never forget this other guy jumped in. A lot of people didn't know this the first time around, and he was a preacher. And then I told my mom, I said, I think he'll be a good candidate. I'm just going to support him. She said, oh, no, you're not. You know, went around and told everybody that you're going to run, you're going to stick with it. So for women, I share that. Sometimes for women, it's a confidence issue, and it's asking for money. We don't feel comfortable asking for money, but we ask for our kids when they're doing Girl Scouts, or we ask for our boys when they're in football or basketball teams. So just overcoming that and just really just keep on talking to yourself. Because it's really hard to ask somebody to vote for you. Some people say, why should I vote for you, honey? But the point is, so confidence, plugging in where there are opportunities. And if you see a seat that's coming up, don't be afraid to ask that person, how can you get involved, and beginning to become involved then versus just when that seat opens up, so you can understand the process along with everything that the panel shared before me, because they gave really good advice.
I agree. What's left to say, but I will find a few things. One, I'll tell you this. I'm 32 years old. I'm the youngest member of the General Assembly. But I think I just say I don't want that title. You can run when you're 21 years old. Before I became the youngest person, the person who was the youngest, he ran when he was 22. He retired when he was 29. Now he's a lobbyist making bank. Okay, he had a transition plan. That's what we need. So I would say that's true. These people in these positions so long, they don't have a transition plan. You want that seat? Find one for them. But bring your issues to your legislators. I have a young man who is a barber. He moved from Atlanta to Memphis, and he wanted to be able to have a barber truck like a food truck. He asked me. He said, "Well, we don't have that legislation." He brought it to me. I got the bill drafted. I worked the hell out of it, and it's a law now. And July 1st, he can actually have his little barber food truck thing. You know, so get involved. He's my constituent. It's not a food truck. I'm sorry. It's the design of the food truck. But it's here. But he is it's a local barber shop. There you go. But he was my constituent who came up with an idea, and it went from start to finish into law. So don't feel that you can't do that, because you can. If you're going to run for office, first of all, find somebody, like she said, like Erica said, find somebody who's doing what you're doing and ask them to be your mentor. And be persistent. Like I told the group that I was speaking with, we might get like 1,000 emails a day, and I might flag her for follow-up, and I really want to talk to you, and then I forget. So just like email again, and that triggers that memory. It's hard sometimes. When you want to run for office, do not worry about who endorses you. Only one person endorsed me, and everybody else endorsed my opponent. 7 people ran in the election I ran in. You need to go to the people who can vote for you. Literally, guerrilla tactics. Get out in those streets, knock on doors, don't be afraid. Get your issues together, and try and present yourself like you're not trying to sell a used car. It's very difficult. But and then the last thing I'll say is, if you are in the community, do not let your elected officials off the hook. See, engagement does not end when that person's elected. That's when it actually begins. That's when you hold them accountable. You put their feet to the fire. You show up in their office. Like someone on the panel said, go and find out who your legislator is. You enter your address, and it'll tell you on every single level. And make them answer to you. And if they don't, you rally a campaign. This woman thought I voted against the marijuana bill. There is a Twitter account like Ramesh Akberry sucks, at Twitter. For the record, I did vote for the bill, but just do what you can. And if you don't, just... I heard Erica Alexander from Living Single. She said this, and I thought it was great. I was in the event. She said, when they go low, bury them. All right? So, that's what you need to do with those elected officials that aren't doing what they're supposed to do. All right?
So I echo everything that's been said. I'm trying not to be duplicative other than one theme, and that is, I know folks don't want to hear it, but it is really important that you donate to candidates that you support. That is just the reality. It keeps you on their radar forever, and you are forever their friend. And it doesn't matter how much. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. But for the candidate, it just identifies you. You are a serious person for them. So find, I'm talking about one, I'm talking about 5 or 6 local people. I'm happy to take my donations from Memphians. Find 5 or 6 local people and donate $50 to each one of them. and you will see that that will build a relationship with that person that will last for a long time. It is hard, if you run for office later, it's hard for somebody you gave $50 to endorse your opponent. I'm not saying they're going to endorse you, but they're going to say, yeah, 2 years ago that person gave me $50. I mean, it is just that's a little bit of action that separates you from everybody else. It doesn't take much more than that. So find 6 or 7 local candidates, donate something, right? And establish yourself as somebody serious about engaging in the political process. A lot of this other stuff has been said, so I'm not going to repeat anything, but all I'll say is for my group had a lot of, the bad news is they had a lot of hopelessness. Right? I think 10 of the 12 words when we started off were negative words to describe the political system. But the good news is 2 out of 12 words were positive words. And as we went through the discussion, the really good news is that there was a lot of hope and optimism in the group. And the group was really excited about the possibility of coalition building, which is needed and something that is a way to actually achieve goals. It's really the only way to achieve an ending in the political process that's meaningful. It's trying to find partners and build a coalition. And for us as black folks, we are not very good at that in my experience. Black folks naturally, in my experience, I want to speak of Lee Harris, are us versus them people. Oh man, what they got in that neighborhood?
Right.
Man, you know, they would never do this in our neighborhood. It's all about us versus them. How we can say what they're doing and what we're doing and what we got and what they got and so forth and so on. We divide and divide and divide and divide. And it really makes us closed to the possibility of partnership. And so we don't get a lot of things accomplished that we could get accomplished if we had conversations about where there are partnerships available, like what we just did in this group. Another really good thing about the group is I think there was a pretty serious commitment and conversation about that politics is just like everything else, that the successful individual is the person that puts in time. That nothing's going to be handed to you in politics and government. You're not running for Congress tomorrow, right? And nobody's going to call you up and say, oh, I saw your name is on the ballot. Let me find out how to write you a $5 check, right? It's nothing like that is going to happen, right? It's about putting in the time. It's about putting in the time, and that's really what determines the success. So I'd encourage you to continue putting in the time to support this organization. I think it's going to be a really good conduit for information. So, yeah, I think the rest has been said. Thank you very much for having me.
My thoughts are, I heard there's some really great things that's been said, but I'm going to come from it, just from the party perspective. The Democratic Party is the party of the people. If you want to get involved, show up. It's that simple. So some things that are happening right now. Every Monday, the party's organizing Moral Mondays at the Capitol. If you feel like bringing a sign and being heard, they happen. I think they start around 3 and they go into the evening. But they are having Moral Monday protests every Monday. They also are doing every third Thursday at Cabana. They're doing Thirsty Thursday. You can just jump in and hear about what's happening with the Democratic Party. Learn a little bit more how to get involved and see what's going on with them during the year. We have our executive committee meetings every 4th Tuesday. It's open to the public. And as Erica mentioned, I'm an executive committee woman. It is an elected position, but if there's no one filling that seat, then it's open. And we have open seats. So if anybody wants to be is interested in being on the executive committee, come see me. I can give you which council. So essentially, there's a man and a woman representative for each council district. And we have some council districts that have no representatives and some that may have a woman position open and some that may have a man position open, but they're open positions. So if you're interested in being involved on that level, it's a leadership position to jump with. So, that's a great way to start. And if you're not so much into getting involved with the party, and I understand that some people, the whole party spectrum may not be necessarily where you want to engage, but find an issue that you feel very passionate about. And there are a ton of organizations working on specific issues. There's no organizations like NOAA. There's organizations like GLSEN for the LGBT community. I mean, there's all types of organizations that are political in nature that are working on specific issues. So think about what's important to you, and then find an organization that's really active and doing some activism work in that particular issue, and get engaged with them, because they're going to have a ton of opportunities for you to get engaged politically and really have something you're passionate about matter to you to have a voice in and be active in. So that's my suggestions. That's it.
Can we give our panel another round of applause? So I have a couple of announcements. We're going to close, but before I do that, I'd be remiss if I didn't welcome up Frida Player of SEIU. They graciously allowed us to use this.
Hello everyone, I know you guys want to go home, but I just want to tell you about where you are. First, welcome to our home. Thank you for coming. This is SEIU with the Service Employees International Union. We have about 2 million members in North America, Canada, United States, and Puerto Rico. In Nashville, or in Tennessee, we're a statewide local. We have the first unionized, what we call wall-to-wall hospital. Anyone from an RN down to dietary and custodian are unionized in Oak Ridge. We represent Chattanooga City workers. We represent Chattanooga City workers. We represent Metro Nashville City workers. We represent the support staff in Metro government, Metro schools. We also represent Meharry Medical College, General Hospital, Signature Hospital, it used to be formerly Bordeaux, Long-Term Care Hospital. We represent the cafeteria managers and the maintenance men in Shelby County Schools and St. Francis Hospital. And we have a medical facility in Galloway, Tennessee, which is right outside of Shelby County. So one thing's really interesting about our membership, we are 50% women and we're 50% black. So we're one of the most diverse unions in the country and in the state. Half of our leadership are either black or female. So, and one of our national tenets is talking about racial justice and economic justice. So this is why it really warms my heart that we had this conversation here, and we felt that was very important because economic justice has to do with racial justice, and we're one of the most politically active unions you will find. We endorse Council Lady Gilmore, and we endorse Christian Buggs. I had the honor of being a DNC delegate with Representative Akbar and Senator Lee Harris. And so we're very actively involved, and I sit on the executive committee with Mattia Powell. And Chris and I have worked on numerous campaigns for over 10, 15 years. So we are a very active political union and represent low-wage workers. So most of our members make less than $30,000 a year. Their take-home is more like $27,000 or $24,000. So when we're talking about being active, our members get it because it's their paycheck, it's their benefits, but also they're serving your children, they're picking up your trash, you're servicing your water, or things like that. Or you may see them at Metro General if you ever get sick. So it's one of those things that we take politics very important, we take racial justice important. So be involved. It's very, very important. That's one of my goals is to help lobby for racial issues, economic issues, but for everyday working people that have a fair shake. So welcome to our home. I hope this is not the last time you'll be here, but thank you for coming. Thank you for having some great conversations, and hopefully I'll see you again in the future.
Okay, so just a couple of announcements. It's Mr. Scott Tiff with us tonight. So I heard Scott is running for a judge position and has already had Charlene on his campaign. So let's make sure that we support Scott in his position in his quest for a judge. Christian Buggs is going. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's for Davidson County Chancery Court.
And that is Davidson County-wide.
Countywide position.
Okay. So Scott Tiff, everybody, make sure you support Scott. So Christian Buggs has a series of open discussions on the budget coming up. So connect with Christian if you're interested in being a part of those conversations. Also, there's going to be another political engagement discussion held at Tennessee State University on the evening of April 6th with an organization called Now, Not on Our Watch. Keena Day founded it. She had to leave. They're doing that in partnership with the TSU SGA. So if you want to participate in another discussion on political engagement, please go there. And also, we're going to do something called Conscious Connect and leave this event and go to Eastern Peak. It's an Asian cuisine spot not too far away, 536 Thompson Lane. Come join us if you want. Continue the conversation. And I'd be remiss if I didn't also recognize Jared Strickland, who's a member of the Conscious Conversation team, as well as Merrill Johnson, who couldn't be here. Without them, these events couldn't happen. So I'm going to let Jared actually close. All right.
You know me, I'm quick and to the point. So what we'll do, what I want to do is make sure this isn't just a conversation. We want to make sure this is an actionable conversation, find ways that we can get out and do some of the things that we talked about. So what we'll do with the Conscious Conversation team is find a legislature meeting that we see the opportunity to discuss some of the topics that we've talked about and might be impacting our community, and we'll be there, whether it's council or state. Isaac and I, Meryl, will sign up a day. We'll put it on Facebook out the way most of you probably found about this event, and we'll go right there. So what I ask is if you came to this meeting, if you're here, we're going to shoot you an email. We're going to send it through Facebook. Join us. Be with us. Let's get started in making this an actionable event, not just 100 and some people that showed up and talked about it. Let's do something about it. So again, my name's Jared Strickland. I thank you guys so much for being here today. We really appreciate the vision coming to life, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Peter, God bless. Good night.
Actually, gets the last word. Sorry about that.
Sorry.
You couldn't let me finish.
We just can't stress enough that get involved with your clients. This is why you're here. Now you have the tools. Let's do something about it. You can give today before you leave. Like you said, donate to campaigns, donate to PACs that can also donate to campaigns. Give $2 before you leave. Write a check, swipe a card. Thank you all.